The death of Pope Francis has cast a solemn shadow across the global Catholic Church. Known for his humility, compassion, and fierce advocacy for the marginalized, Pope Francis leaves behind a legacy of simplicity and spiritual courage. Father Dominic Maximilian Ofori says the late Pope embodied the image of a servant pastor, one who lived the gospel beyond the pulpit.
He came to the papacy at a time when the church was challenged with regard to the fallout of the pre-sexual abuse scandal, especially in the US, but also in different parts of the world. And so fast forward, we 12 years into his papacy, and we begin to see what the church is supposed to do for the world in terms of reaching out to the poor, reaching out to the marginalized, speaking up for immigrants, speaking up those who are oppressed in society, and not just speaking up, but identifying with them. That was something that the Pope did. The first thing he did as Pope was to go to the island of Lampedusa to be with migrants who were trying to escape from North Africa to Europe. And so over and over again, you will see, especially on Holy Thursdays during his ministry, him leaving the Vatican to go out to different places to wash the feet of prisoners, women, and so on and so forth.
But what is the role of the Pope, and why is this office so revered? Father Ofori walks us through centuries of tradition that connect the Pope directly to St. Peter, believed to be chosen by Jesus himself.
The Catholic Church believes that her Lord and founder was Jesus Christ, who died around the year, maybe like 33 AD in Jerusalem. At the time that Jesus died, his disciples did not expect him to resurrect. And so they were really surprised when on Sunday morning, some women came to tell them that they had gone to the tomb early in the morning and he wasn't there. So eventually Jesus would reveal himself to the 12 and to a larger group of disciples. And so from that moment, the church was born, especially on the day of Pentecost. And then eventually Peter and then Paul would find themselves in Rome, where they would be executed. And so, yes, Peter was bishop. He was bishop outside of Rome, and then came to Rome, and that was where he died. And so Bishop Peter, if you read John's Gospel, chapter 21, where Jesus 3 times will ask him, Peter, son of Simon, do you love me more than these? And he says, Lord, you know I love you. And he says, feed my lambs, feed my sheep. So the church understands that by this singular communicative encounter, Jesus entrusted the care of the church to Peter to govern. And then Peter in his ministry comes to Rome and dies there. And so then Rome becomes the central point of the churches, if you like, ministry. So over the years, when Peter died, they elected somebody to succeed him. So there was Clement and so on and so forth. So over and over again. So we can trace the succession of popes over the years all the way to Peter.
Since Peter's death, the Church has maintained an unbroken succession of popes, 266 in total. Pope Francis was the 266th. While the world has seen many forms of leadership, the papacy remains unique. It is a lifetime role unless the Pope willingly resigns, as in the case of Benedict XVI. Pope Francis, despite illness, served until his death.
Because if you look at Acts of the Apostles, they would choose Matthias to replace Judas after Judas died. And so whenever a pope is elected, nobody can force him to, nobody can remove him unless he himself, okay, he himself says, okay, I am abdicating the office, or he dies. And so if you look at Pope Benedict, he didn't have to die to be replaced, or to have a success, or to be succeeded by Francis. Where I've reached, I think that I have to step back and allow somebody to take over the papacy to run the church. And so he willingly, without any compulsion, resigned from his office. Francis was sick for a long time. Unlike Benedict, who resigned, Francis decided not to resign. And so once he died yesterday, and in the evening, it was officially declared that he was dead, then his seat, that is the chair of Peter, is declared vacant.
The church will bury Pope Francis in the coming days, but Father Ofori believes now is not the time to speculate on who the next pope will be.
And after his funeral coming Saturday, and the church will go through the process of electing a new pope. But for now, I would say that I think the church is mourning, and the passing of Pope Francis is too fresh for us to be talking about any papal election. We should be thinking about, what his legacy was, what he taught us, how he showed us how to be authentic Christians, and how to prepare him for burial. That's where these are the things that we should be thinking about. Following the funeral on Saturday, we can begin to talk about who becomes the next pope.
As the bells toll in the Vatican and cardinals prepare for a future conclave, Father Ofori joins millions around the world in mourning not just a pontiff, but the shepherd who brought the church closer to the people. Philip Abutiate, Bullet News, Accra.